So as you know, Prince Andrew denies the allegations against him, and he says that this photo is a fake, that he was never there, and that he's not his arm and they're not his fingers.
Oh, the chubby fingers. I know. I mean, these are the lame excuses that he keeps coming up with. I mean, these aren't his fingers, really.
He has been laying low for months now, and if we're honest, it's looked less like a strategic retreat and more like a slow unravelling. Since the fallout around Jeffrey Epstein intensified again, and since Virginia Giuffre's story has remained in the public eye through her posthumous memoir, Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor has been pushed further and further out of view. Fewer appearances, fewer allies speaking up for him, fewer signs of any real path back. And yet, the most revealing detail in the latest reporting is not a legal update or a palace statement. It is the picture of what he does all day behind the gates of Royal Lodge. Because, according to an insider quoted in reporting picked up this week, Andrew has a very common pastime that he has always loved, and that he is now leaning into more than ever. Andrew spends most of his days on the couch, watching TV. According to the source, he does watch a lot of TV. He's always done that. He's always been a bit of a couch potato. That one line does a lot of work, because it turns the story from royal scandal into something smaller and bleaker. A man in a 30-room house, increasingly isolated, passing time on the sofa. And it also fits with what else is being said about his routine right now. That he spends his days sometimes riding, shooting, playing golf, and watching television. That he does not drink or smoke. He never goes out to dinner anymore. The London club life is long behind him. In other words, his world has shrunk to a loop, and Royal Lodge is the centre of it. What makes this couch potato detail worth paying attention to is what it quietly implies. It suggests Andrew is not using this period to reshape his life in any meaningful way. There is no evidence of a discreet charitable role, no behind-the-scenes occupation, not even the suggestion of a busy diary that would indicate a strong support network still in place. Instead, much of the coverage circles back to the same observation. People simply are not coming around anymore.
Breaking tonight, Prince Andrew is giving up all of his titles, including the Duke of York. It follows a string of scandals surrounding his relationship with paedophile Jeffrey Epstein and his relationship with an alleged Chinese spy. But, of course, he will remain a prince, as this remains his birthright.
One biographer quoted in the reporting claims that nobody visits him anymore, and describes him as feeling both abandoned and embittered. You do not have to treat every remark as definitive to recognise the broader pattern. Across multiple accounts, the message is consistent. Andrew is no longer moving through the world. He is living inwardly, contained within a small and increasingly narrow bubble that appears to be closing in on him month by month. Royal Lodge, of course, is not just any house. It has been his home since 2003, a 30-room property in Windsor, the setting for decades of private routine, staff, habits, and control. And that control is exactly what seems to be slipping now, because he is understood to be heading into his final weeks there before an expected move next year. So, as it stands, if he wants to be outside without having to face anyone, he rides. We have seen him photographed doing exactly that, including in pouring rain, looking glum and solitary, accompanied only by a groom. And what caught people's attention is that after months of avoiding cameras, he was snapped out riding twice in 3 days. Then he goes back. Maybe golf, maybe shooting, depending on what is arranged. Then home again. Then hours and hours of television.
Virginia Giuffre, the woman who accused Jeffrey Epstein and Prince Andrew of crimes, has died, aged 41. Her family has issued a statement confirming she died by suicide at her farm near Perth overnight.
A sofa, screens, and the same familiar room, with the same familiar routine, except now the background noise is that everything is coming to an end. Andrew is a man who clings to rituals and control, even in ways that look strange from the outside. So when reports say he is expected to move, largely against his will, it is not just about downsizing. It is about being forced out of the environment where he could live exactly as he pleased. hidden from view, surrounded by the remnants of royal life. That makes the couch potato line feel less like a throwaway insult and more like a clue about where his head is. He is not building a new life. He is waiting out the current one. Those who worked in and around Royal Lodge have long described Andrew as rigid in his habits and deeply uncomfortable when things were not done exactly his way. There are repeated accounts of a strong need for control over his surroundings, his routines, and even the smallest details of daily life. One anecdote that has circulated in reporting is particularly telling. According to sources, Andrew once summoned a member of staff to come in and show him how to use the television remote control, rather than adjusting or learning it himself. It sounds trivial, but to former staff it spoke volumes.
This is what we do know about Prince Andrew and the businessman and convicted child sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. We know Prince Andrew got to know Jeffrey Epstein in 1999. We know that he saw him fairly regularly for some period.
A reliance on others for minor tasks, an expectation of immediate assistance, and a resistance to adapting when something fell outside his preferred routine. Seen through that lens, the image of Andrew spending hours watching television is not just about laziness or boredom. It reflects a long-established pattern of control, dependence, and an unwillingness to bend when the world around him changes. There have been a few rare appearances, and even those have felt tense. He attended the christening of his granddaughter at St. James's Palace. He was reported to have travelled there, tucked away in the back of a car, and then came the detail that told its own story. He did not join Princess Beatrice, her husband, and friends at the pub afterwards. Some will read that as sensible. Keep the profile low, avoid the cameras, avoid the headlines. But it also underlines how separate he is now, even from the normal human moments of family life. The pub after the christening is the bit that does not require titles. It is just family, a meal, a drink, a little warmth, and he was not part of it.
New fallout overseas just days after Prince Andrew announced he'll stop using his royal titles.
Now he faces new allegations and investigations related to Jeffrey Epstein and Virginia Giuffre.
It all comes just one day before Giuffre's memoir detailing her time with Andrew is set to be released. Here's ABC's Ian Pannell.
Which brings us back to the question that hangs over all of this. If he is not wanted at big public gatherings, and he is not joining the smaller, private moments either, then what is left? If the reporting is right, what is left is Royal Lodge, a horse ride in the rain, and hours of television. And the timing matters, because the move is supposed to happen next year. Royal Lodge is the last place where Andrew can pretend his old life is still intact. Once he is out, the story changes. It becomes harder to hide, harder to frame, and harder to deny that this is permanent. So let me ask you this. Do you think the couch potato portrayal is accurate? The simplest description of what his life has become? Or do you think it is being pushed in the press to humiliate him at the exact moment he is being forced out of Royal Lodge? Or, perhaps, to gather sympathy? And if this really is his day-to-day now, do you think he accepts that quietly? Or do you think he still tries to push for some kind of comeback, even in a small, carefully controlled way? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you want the next updates as the Royal Lodge situation moves closer to its end, be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.